How would you like to be boiled alive? Well, it certainly doesn't sound pleasant, but lobsters and chickens go through it all the time. And one of them is proven to feel pain. So the question must be important, right? Well, according to author and lawyer Wesley J. Smith, animals can't really comprehend the concept of human rights. They don't know what they can be given, what's taken away, nor what they currently do not have. It's up to humans to decide what they need and how to enforce that. This, of course, leaves room to a lot of loose interpretations, and various groups, not just animal rights activists and policymakers, have come to their own conclusions as to what animals might want. And this, of course, could lead to some potentially disastrous consequences. My name is Matthew Kwan, and today I'm here to discuss animal rights and what I believe to be an appropriate resolution to this current issue. First, I will discuss a few examples of injustices, specifically raised poultry, faced by animals today. Next, I will describe what animal rights activists have tried, particularly the more extremist ones, and how my solution is a better approximation of their ideals. And finally, I will discuss my solution in greater detail and why I believe that it will work. First off, to bring in Aristotle, or at least an oversimplified idea of his, all humans are animals, but not all animals are human. Now, your first thought may be, well, he's saying humans are superior. However, according to social and political theorist Dinesh Wadhwani, this is not the case. According to Wadhwani, what Aristotle is actually saying is that humans simply have traits animals do not have, just as animals have traits humans do not have. Now, what this implies is that humans are closer to animals rather than some abstract concept of an inherent superior being. In other words, intelligence is not everything. However, for many of us, at least subconsciously, it's enough to justify humans' treatment of various animals, especially those that we treat inhumanely, whether it be in aquariums, zoos, or just the food on our plate. Now, if we're talking about animal injustice, this may not be familiar to you, but what comes to mind immediately to the research individual are birds, specifically chickens. According to writer Patty Taylor, birds like chickens are the most abused form of animal in the US today. We've all heard the term caged eggs. They live in cramped living spaces, and they're executed in boiling water, which is electrified. Yay. And unfortunately, many of them actually do survive the initial parts of this execution process, which, yeah, it's a lot of pain. Now, this happens in the US because there are actually no federal protection laws, at least not in the United States, for birds like chickens. This, of course, doesn't automatically mean that we should create a federal protection law, essentially banning this process. No. In fact, that goes against my proposed solution. As I will discuss later, the solution I propose does not involve government policy supporting one side or the other. Now, according to psychologists Christina M. Brown and Julia L. McLean, when asked whether dogs had human-like traits, compared to a control group, the average person became biased simply by being asked that question towards animal rights. Now, this may spawn plenty of animal rights activists, moderate ones at best. There are animal rights activists with more extreme measures. Take, for example, the case of Dario Ringok, a researcher who specialized in human eye implants and who also experimented on monkeys. Now, I won't deny that many monkeys were hurt by his experiments. However, it may not be so easy to defend the monkeys if you or someone you knew had a close friend or family member who could have benefited from his research. Instead, Ringok was intimidated by gangs calling themselves animal rights activists until he essentially gave up on his research. And that's not to include more controversial topics like cancer or HIV, other diseases for which animals are almost certainly being experimented on in order to develop a cure for humanity. Now, my proposed solution. What I propose is not a government policy that supports animal rights activists or those who oppose animal rights activists. Instead, my solution is a government policy that helps to mediate the exchange of information not only between both, but also to the general public, to those who are not as aware about this issue. Now, the animal rights activists I mentioned earlier, particularly the ones who intimidated Ringok, that was a mild example. Other researchers like Ringok have also had their family members threatened, their property vandalized, and at least 2 have also survived a bombing. Now, such violence is as a result of not only misinformation but exaggeration of the facts, both by animal rights activists and their opposing faction. In order to prevent this, government should pass policies that help to distribute unbiased information so that people won't be forced to join sides. Instead, they'll be able to make educated decisions about which side to support, and of course, give them the implied choice to choose which side to join and change sides if they want to, without being intimidated or facing violence. In conclusion, the solution I propose is not a policy that supports one side or the other, but rather a form of information distribution, or at least information filtration, that allows for the general public, animal rights activists, and those who are not opposed to animal rights per se, but who support milder measures. The information each of them pass between each other should be unbiased, unprejudiced, but most of all, truthful, so that all parties involved can make educated decisions and not resort to violence based on faulty information. Thank you.